Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So let's review Algebra 1 Part 4. Let's take a look at question number 21. Does it represent a good fit for the linear model? They give us two different residual plots, okay? Example 1 and example 2. So what do you think? Does it represent a good fit for the linear model when the residual plots are given? All right, I will give you 10 seconds to think about the problem. You can also pause the video if you need more time. All right, so let's take a look at example number 1. All right, so example number 1, the residual plot represents a good fit for the linear model because the points do not make a pattern. As you can see in example 1, the points do not make any pattern. That means it represents a good fit for the linear model. Okay, let's take a look at example number 2. Can I zoom? Yes, I can zoom in or zoom out. So if you take a look at example number 2, the residual plot does not represent a good linear model because the points make a pattern. All right, so if it makes some kind of pattern, it does not represent a good linear model. All right, so let's move on to the next question. What is the vertex and the axis of symmetry of a parabola? So do you remember anything about vertex and the axis of symmetry? And how do you find the vertex and the axis of symmetry? So I will give you 10 seconds, think about it. You can also pause the video if you need more time. All right, so let's talk about vertex first, okay? So vertex are basically the maximum or minimum point of a parabola, okay? So these points are called vertex, okay? So let me use a different color. So, oops. So in this case, this is the minimum point and this is the maximum point, okay? We call it vertex. All right, now let's talk about the axis of symmetry. So axis of symmetry is the vertical line that goes through in that divides the parabola into two symmetrical halves, okay? So the axis of symmetry divides the parabola into two equal halves. So this vertical line will be called axis of symmetry, and it always goes through the vertex and it divides the parabola into two equal halves. Okay, so axis of symmetry will always be x equal to some number. Okay, now we do not know exactly what number that is for this specific problem, but it's always going to be x equal to something. Okay, all right, so I hope you got the answer. What is the vertex? Vertex is the maximum or the minimum point of a parabola. What is the axis of symmetry? Axis of symmetry is a vertical line that goes through in the middle of the parabola. It basically divides the parabola into two equal halves. All right, so let's talk about the axis of symmetry. What is the axis of symmetry? Axis of symmetry is the vertical line that divides the parabola into two equal halves. As you can see, this is our axis of symmetry, this vertical dotted line. So the easiest way to find the axis of symmetry is using the formula, okay? The formula says x equal to negative b over 2a. So what does that mean? That means if they give you if they give you a quadratic equation, you can use this formula to find out the axis of symmetry. For example, let me give you an example. Let's say I have y equal to negative 2x squared plus 8x minus 3. So we can actually find out the axis of symmetry of this specific quadratic equation, which is negative 2x squared plus 8x minus 3. Okay, so what we need, we basically need the a and b value. So a will be equal to negative 2 and b will be equal to positive 8. So what we have to do, we have to use the formula. The formula says x equal to negative b over 2a. Negative b is going to be negative positive 8, which is negative 8. Now 2 times a, which is equal to negative 2. So that's going to give us negative 8 over negative 4, which will be equal to 2. So x equal to 2 will be our axis of symmetry of that parabola. Okay, again, this is a quadratic equation, y equal to negative 2x squared plus 8x minus 3. It represents a parabola, and x equal to 2 represent the axis of symmetry of that parabola. Okay, the axis of symmetry. Since the axis of symmetry goes through the vertex, that basically means we already have the x value. The only thing that we need the y value. Okay, how can we find y value? Well, if x is equal to 2, our y is going to be equal to negative 2. I'm going to replace all the x with 2 plus 8 times 2 minus 3. You can also use a TI-84 calculator if you don't want to do this calculation manually. Let's see, 4 minus 8 plus 8 times 2 equal to 16 minus 3. So that is 16 minus 11, which is equal to 5. Okay, so the vertex is going to be equal to, so the vertex will be equal to 2, 5. All right, so let me summarize everything that I said. I hope I didn't confuse anyone. So what is vertex? Vertex is the maximum or minimum point of a parabola. Okay, what is the axis of symmetry? It's the vertical line that divides the parabola into two equal halves. How do you find axis of symmetry? X equal to negative b over 2a. Okay, so if they give you an equation, or quadratic equation, you just need the a and b value. You can use this formula, x equal to negative b over 2a, plug it in, simplify, and you will get your axis of symmetry. Just one thing, be careful that the answer should always look something like this, like x equal to some number. Okay, so do not use y, it's x equal to some number. Okay, now the question is, how do you find vertex? So the axis of symmetry gives us the x coordinate of the vertex. In this case, x is equal to 2. Well, if you know x is equal to 2, you can actually find out the corresponding y value by substituting all the x with 2. If you have a TI-84 calculator, you can take a look at the graph. You can also take a look at the table, and you can also double check your answer using a TI-84 calculator. And I think you should always double check your answer using a calculator.